Are you recording already?
Yeah, we're recording. Let's here. Let me get the jingle ready.
Yeah, I was going to say we need our jingle.
We need the jingle. Here we go. Boom. How you doing, Greg?
I am rocking it. How are you?
I am fantastic. Having a great week. Yourself?
Good. Week's almost over. Looking forward to the weekend. But, weather's getting nicer, so I'm feeling excited.
Sweet. Yeah, is you still got snow on the ground or anything, or is it all melted?
Oh, this is still there. It doesn't go away. At least it doesn't feel like it goes away.
Really? Still? It's almost April.
Yeah, there's still little patches here and there, and then there's obviously the big mounds from the plows. Those will stay till like end of April.
Really? Oh man.
Oh, they have the 10, 15 foot plow mounds. Yeah, those are here for a while.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Yep.
What you been up to? You been working on anything good?
My website. Holding myself to my promise of focusing on one thing at a time. So I'm just focusing on the new Chili Dog hosting website and the new plans and the new pricing.
Sweet.
Totally revamped it all. It's I'm happy with it. I just have to sit down and get it done. You, the man that had this, working on the site for over a year, knows how it is, right?
I know how it is. Definitely, dude. So when's the go live date?
I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'm shooting for the end of March. But as it's the third week in March, and there's only like a week left.
Yeah.
It may be the middle of April, but it'll get done. It's getting there. Yeah.
So is it a new site for Chili Dog hosting and Chili Dog software?
No, just hosting. I already did the Chili Dog software. Okay. Yeah. So that's why I did Chili Dog software last year. Now it's back to hosting.
Okay, cool.
I got to give those customers some love and tell them about the plans, and I don't have to.
You want to leak any cool new information out for us on the podcast, or what? Is there anything new, like any surprises?
Well, I have product pages, so you can actually send a link to the newsletter service. So,
finally.
Yeah. I think the first round is I'm simplifying the plan. So the price structure will be pretty much the same, but a lot more disk space, and start offering unlimited bandwidth to clients. So, if you have that burst of traffic, you'll be covered.
Cool.
So, and then I think hopefully later this year, I start working again on bundles, and I want to start bundling that newsletter stuff together and all these other services together, so people can have the packages and services they need in one spot. So that's my goal.
Nice.
Just a matter of executing. It's all about the execution,
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. How about you? You got anything good going on? Anything good?
I've been working my butt off on like doing a bunch of video work lately. So I think it's been really paying off. I've been enjoying it. So whenever a customer buys anything for the past 8 weeks, they've gotten a personal video from me, from 30 seconds to a minute. I've sent an actual video email to them. So I've done every single customer for the past 8 weeks. It's been almost 700 videos that I've done in the past 8 weeks. It's been fun. It's been interesting. It is a lot of work. But the feedback that I've been getting from people has been pretty overwhelming. They've been loving it. So I'm happy with it.
So what's the basic structure of this thing? Because, you probably don't know every single person, right?
No.
So is it, you came up with a general script that you sell? Like, what do you say in one of these videos?
So I know what they
Give me one, Joe. Give me one. Come on.
So I have the name, I see what they purchased, and I just say, Hi, Greg, this is Joe. I want to thank you for purchasing, the Seam stack yesterday. I hope you're enjoying the stack, so on and so forth. And I personalize it. And if I did if I recently released an update with it, or if I noticed that you purchased Foundation 3 weeks ago, I'll be like, hey, I hope you're still enjoying Foundation, stuff like that. Right. So I make it every video extremely personal just to that customer. It's no, like, I don't have a general script. Obviously I try to, if, if I have 3 people back to back that all bought the same thing, I'm going to maybe say something slightly similar, but there isn't a written script. I go off the cuff on every single video.
Oh, Joe, my heart's fluttering. That's my heart.
Yep. And then another thing I've been doing the past 4 weeks is I've gone live every Wednesday for the past 4 weeks. And actually yesterday was kind of fun. I did a one-on-one coaching call with a customer. So Adriano from England, from London, he's a nutritionalist coach. And so we got on a YouTube live together. And I critiqued his website. I critiqued his business, gave him some feedback on what he can do to improve everything. And the feedback so far from that episode has been really great. So that was interesting. It was the first time I've done, the first 3 weeks were just me kind of doing a tutorial or a demo basically. But yeah, the YouTube lives have been really good. I'm really excited about them.
That's cool. That's actually something that I want to do, but I don't think I'm going to get into it. I haven't said this to you or anybody else, but having like office hours kind of set up, or somewhere where you can book 15 minutes of time and do or something like that, a small meeting or something. Either Zoom or I guess maybe Zoom. I don't know. I haven't thought it through. But as I said in the beginning of this, I just have to focus first before I get to there. But that's something I have in mind. So
sweet.
Doing your little personalized videos sounds fun too. Just one thing at a time.
Yeah,
you're a little bit ahead of me. That's fun.
Yeah, it's been going really good. I think since the last episode, or since our last episode, I released, I don't remember what I released. Seams. I think Seams is new. And I released a new version of Call to Action, completely rewrote that. So that's been fun. People have been liking those. So, yep. And my goal is to get Foundation out the door. And I'm also working on an update to Weaverspace, a big update to Weaverspace as well, the website. So just updating some things and automating some stuff that I kind of left off the table when we launched the site in October. So, it's been 5 months and I haven't really done things that we didn't complete on launch. Like, for example, people can't submit new designs yet. So like I have a whole designs gallery, but I never completed the form for people to submit new designs to, so the designs that have been there have been the same designs for 5 months, which is a little crazy, stupid of me. So, yeah, all that's going to be fixed very soon. And then on top of that, I'm working on the new Foundation version 2. So my goal for that's around June. I don't know. That's kind of a pie in the sky thing. I don't know if I'll make that, but we'll see.
June, yeah, time does go quick.
It does. And of course, we're doing all the Stacks 4 testing too. I can't really talk about all the details yet, but we got Stacks 4. That's coming soon, everybody.
And we're gonna get Isaiah on the podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah, we definitely got to get Isaiah on the podcast for the Stacks 4 launch. Totally got to get him on. I'm sure he'll do it.
Yeah, I thought I heard he said he's gonna fly us to Austin and we do it live at a bar, and that's what I heard. I mean,
in his mansion, right?
Yes, in his mansion on the hills of Austin,
with his cowboy hat and boots. We'll go for a horseback ride.
You have the cowboy hat and boots.
I want to see Isaiah in a cowboy hat. Man, that would be great. I gotta buy him a cowboy hat for Stacks 4 launch. Oh, dude.
You gotta, what's one of those Stetsons from that place in New York City?
Yeah.
There's like a famous hat place in New York City.
Stetson's a famous cowboy hat, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta buy him a cowboy hat. He'll probably never wear it, but yeah.
Yeah, he'll never wear it.
Total waste of money, but
and you got to make sure it has to have branding and insignia is all over it. Insignia is all over it. Right?
Yeah, because Isaiah loves branding. Yeah,
exactly. or have like the little, I have like a little metal piece on it with like the Stacks logo.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. So Greg, what are we going to talk about today? We have, we got some feedback actually from one of our shows on, what Google never forgets.
Yes. And it was good. It was good feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dave Hitting, posted on Weaver Space, I think it was last week, and he had saw a tweet come by from an ex-Googler, or maybe he is a current Googler, I don't remember. But it was essentially how he basically recommended where if you have a page that no longer exists, you know, most people, what they do is they redirect to, let's say, their homepage or some other page, right? And it might not be exactly, you know, a replacement for content, or that page actually didn't move. They just don't want that URL to die. So they're trying to redirect you to some other page that's completely irrelevant. And Google's basically now saying, and I've recently, I listened to quite a few little SEO podcasts, and I've heard this a couple times now, where Google's actually starting to tell people, hey, you know what? Enough with the 301s. Let's actually get some 404s in there for content that no longer exists, right? What do you think about that, Greg?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, typically you do the redirects to pages that are largely similar to the ones you're redirecting from. You know, it's like the user was looking for content at one place that matched what they were looking for. And, you know, instead that page moved to a different location, and, you know, you want to kind of keep that chain going. So I can see that, and I can understand that them making that shift, because it was probably one of those black hat SEOs.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just going to say that. It was probably one of those black hat things where people are like, for example, let's say I decommissioned a product, right? Like I have I don't know, let's pick TwitVid. Okay. That was I had a stack for TwitVid before, right? If you remember that. Yep. And obviously that doesn't exist anymore. But if you tried to go to that product page, what a lot of people would do is they would redirect you, let's say, to my like main stacks page where it lists all my stacks, right? So instead of, you know, like throwing you a 404 error and saying, hey, sorry, this page no longer exists, I would just redirect you to some, you know, quote unquote random page that you're like, oh, this isn't what I expected, right? So, you know, Google wants you basically now to have a proper 404 page. So you should have a 404 page. And then in your htaccess file, you would do like, was it like error document space 404 and then the path to the document, I think, right? Pretty sure that's like the syntax for it.
Capital E, capital
E, capital D. Yeah.
And then the path being the URL path.
Exactly. Yeah. The path is the URL path, not the path to the file on your server. Correct. It's the URL path.
Yes. That sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the syntax. Yep. So if I'm wrong, just email Greg. He'll help you out.
I'll bounce it to Joe.
So yeah, you know, that's the good way, because so the user then gets a feedback that, hey, this, you know, URL doesn't exist anymore, but then they have some context, and hopefully your 404 page will actually tell them, you know, something nice and maybe suggest new content to them or something like that, right? And then obviously if Google tries to index that page that is no longer there, they get the 404 HTTP header, and they get informed of, hey, this page actually doesn't exist anymore. And then eventually they can remove that from their search engine results. So.
Right.
Yes. So,
cool. Good. Thanks for the feedback.
Yep. Thanks for the feedback. If you guys have any other feedback, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed those Google PageSpeed shows. Those were really great. I thought they were great.
They were fun too.
So actually, Greg, I want to brainstorm with you for a minute, about something I'm going to be working on.
Yes. You have both ears.
Yeah. So, you know, I think I mentioned we did a show on publishing sometime last year, and I talked about how I was using Git to publish my website, and we didn't really go into details on that. And I know people were intrigued and wanted to hear more, and so I want to rethink how I'm doing it, and I thought we'd just kind of brainstorm and kind of talk about how I publish my websites with Git with RapidWeaver, and maybe if, you know, some advanced customers wanted to test the waters, they could too. Okay,
sounds good.
So first off, Greg, why don't you explain what is Git?
Ooh, geez, Joe, let's give Greg the top question. Geez, Git is what's called a version control system. So let's take those words apart. Version, so you have multiple versions of a file. Git only tracks files, so we have multiple versions of a file, and it's controlled. So controlled means you can always revert back to a previous version. So you have that kind of safety and assurance that the changes you make won't break, or if they do break, you can always go back in time to a different version. It's like a developer version of Time Machine. I think that's a nice way to visualize it.
Yes. And also, so Git is also very text-based, right? So yes. It's, you can easily see what's changed in a file and whatnot. There's actually kind of what also sparked me to think about talking about this is on the RapidWeaver forums, on the Real Mac forums, there was a conversation about using version control for RapidWeaver projects and how that's kind of not recommended. And I'll talk about, I do version control. I do use Git for my RapidWeaver projects, and I could talk about how I do that and what you can and can't do. Do you do that at all? Do you store RapidWeaver projects in Git?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing I don't do is make sure you don't edit it from two locations or two people at the same time. So you're always editing one computer at one location, and don't modify it or do anything like that from anywhere else.
If there's any advanced users listening that are aware of Git, and some people were asking on that forum thread of, oh, can I merge changes if I change a project on one machine and change it on another machine, and then can I merge those changes? No, you cannot. Do not do that.
Absolutely,
you will break your project.
Yes. The other thing I do typically is I make those project files treated as binary.
Yes. Well, can you do that in Git? So it just looks like a binary. The entire folder is a binary file.
Yeah, you could do anything.
Really? See, that's news to me. That's interesting. So the way I do it is if I make changes to a RapidWeaver project, so I use a Git app called Tower. There are tons of pretty decent Mac Git apps out there. Tower is probably the most expensive one, but I think it is by far the best. But there are others. I know when Rob used to work for me, he used I think it was GitUp, and that worked really well for him.
That was an awesome app, and then the guy just stopped maintaining it.
It still works though. It was a great app. I used it for a long time before I moved to Tower. Yeah, GitUp was really good. And there's a bunch of others out there, but that's actually a pretty good one. And basically what I do is when you make changes to a RapidWeaver project, it is basically inside your Git app, whatever you use, you'll see a list of tons of changes. Like you'll see all these plist files changes. If you added images, you'll see images in there. If you deleted images, they'll show that those files were deleted. Essentially what you need to do is you can't disregard any of those changes. You just got to blanket commit all that stuff and just save it, right? So basically once you make changes and once you want to kind of mark that version of the project file as saved, and you want to kind of, if you ever want to revert back to that version, what I do is I close the project file, so I make sure it's still not open, and then I commit all of those changes, and you can type in a commit message so you can get a little bit information about what this version of this project file was, so that if you ever look in your history in the future, you can know, and if you ever want to go back to a particular version of a project file, you can do that by just reading your commit messages. Is that kind of how you do it, Greg?
Yeah, I mean that's
pretty basic, right? That's basically Git in a nutshell. You see all your changes, you commit them, but you have to make sure, if you're using this on multiple machines, make sure that you pull down all your changes, because basically the way Git works, I guess I kind of maybe went a little far. So you have version control on your Mac, right? Git's already installed in your system because OS 10 and runs on top of Linux, or Git's already there, right? But you're going to need to have something you don't have to, but it's recommended that you have some sort of server that you push these changes to, so that this also serves as a backup, right? Kind of an online backup. So you have not only all your stuff backed up, but all the version history is backed up too. There are many different places you could do that. There's GitHub is a popular one that was recently acquired by Microsoft. Because Microsoft acquired them, a lot of people started moving over to GitLab, which actually I'm going to be creating my new Git repo over there just to kind of test the waters. And I have to say, I don't know if you've used the issue tracker in GitLab, Greg, but it's pretty red hot. I like it. It's pretty shit hot. Yeah. Isaiah's using it to track the bugs for Stacks 4. And the boards view, it has like this Trello-esque boards view of your issues. They have multiple views. They have like the run-of-the-mill like GitHub does, but they have this boards view that you can kind of organize your issues in different boards. It's freaking nice. I like it a lot.
You can do that in GitHub.
You can do boards in GitHub? What?
Yeah.
No, you can't. You're lying.
I am not.
Man.
Yeah,
I'm missing out all this for years.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
Oh,
but they have a projects thing. You have to use the projects. They call it projects.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm logging in right now.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll go to issues. Projects.
So they have issues and they have different get organized. You go to the settings and then options, and then there's issues have templates. And then you have projects and stuff like that.
It's not the same. I have filter right. I don't have a project. I don't know. I guess I didn't set up a project. Okay. Well, I can look at that, but interesting. I was completely unaware of that. I'll have to look into it. But still, I think I'm going to test out GitLab just to try it out. And what's actually kind of interesting is they have the ability to you can open up your issues, so you can have your code, your repository private, so not all your code's out in the public, but then you can open up your issue tracker for registered users. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't really decided if I want to do that, but it is interesting.
Yeah, Bitbucket did that or does that.
Yep, yeah, Bitbucket does that. GitHub hasn't been doing it. And to be honest, the only reason I really moved over to GitHub, originally I was on Bitbucket, was because I wanted to use B app. There's a Mac app for issue tracking, and it supports GitHub. And I wanted to use B really bad, so I moved all my private repos to GitHub purely to use B. And then the B developer, like 6 months ago, moved to Apple, and he just like forgot the app, and it has some bugs, and no one's taking it over, and it's getting annoying. So yeah.
Oh, and he made a subscription too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he made a subscription, and then like 2 months later, he moved to Apple, and didn't even get version 3.0 like fully bug free. It was I was like, what? Seriously? You release version 3, you start charging a subscription, and then you bail. Oh well.
That's
yeah. And I've kind of I've politely, like every 6 weeks or so, I'll tweet him, hey, anyone you got anyone else to take over this this app? And basically, I get one word, nope. Like, okay.
Is he trying to?
He said he was going to, but that was I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. So
yeah,
that's been enough time for him to do it. So I think I'm going to jump ship. I'm going to stop using the app probably pretty soon, which is sad.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to, sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there. So you have Git, and you can manage versions on your Mac. You push those changes up to a server, whether that be Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitLab. Those are probably the big three right now. There's probably more. I recommend one of those three. And then basically what you can do is from your other Macs, you can pull those changes down. So basically you're pushing and pulling. That's the actual terms inside Git is a push and a pull. So you push to the server and you pull the changes down. So you would, if you're on multiple Macs, making sure before you do any changes, you pull those changes down. It's basically, think of it kind of like Dropbox, but it's all manual, right? It's not automatic at all. You have to manually pull and push. And if you don't, with RapidWeaver projects, merging those changes is going to be virtually impossible. So be very careful about that and conscious about that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's kind of version control with RapidWeaver projects. Now I'm going to talk about how I then use that to deploy my websites. So what I do is, instead of publishing to my web server via FTP or SFTP or pick your TP, what I do is I
pick my TP every day.
Okay, so basically what I do is I export my project locally to a folder, and that folder is inside my Git repository. And what's cool about that is then Git at that point can see everything that's changed, since all the HTML and JavaScript and PHP and all that jazz is text-based. So what's cool is once I'm done and I export, I commit all those changes, push it up to, currently my website stuff is on Bitbucket. And then on Bitbucket, what I do is I have something called a Git hook. And what happens is when that Git hook happens, it basically says whenever I push something up to that repository, it will run and ping a URL. Okay. And basically on my web server, I have a PHP script that when it's called via a URL, what it does is it runs some system. It actually creates a file on my system. So it just creates like a text file. So it uses PHP and just creates a file in a folder. And then I have a cron job on my system. And the cron job runs every 5 minutes. And it's a shell script. And what that shell script does is if it keeps looking for that file every 5 minutes. And when it sees that file, what it does is it goes into my Git repository and it does a pull on my web server from Bitbucket down. So just to recap, I push from my Mac, it goes up to Bitbucket. Bitbucket pings my server via a Git hook, which is a URL. It's a simple, like probably a 3-4 line PHP script that all it does is whenever something pings it, it creates a text file on an empty. It doesn't even have content. It's just an empty file. Then I have a cron job on my web server that runs every 5 minutes. And if that file exists, it then goes into my inside the Git repository on my web server and does a pull from Bitbucket. So it pulls the latest version of my website down from Bitbucket and installs it onto my web server. And then obviously deletes that file that the Git hook created. And that's basically how I work, right? That's it. And how's that workflow sound to you, Greg?
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So it's been working really well for me for many, many years. And I want to change things up a little bit. So right now, Weaver Space, the new website, it's not published by Git. It's actually done by FTP. And it's driving me nuts because I loved my little Git setup because it's so seamless and kind of geeky. And I just like it. Having the FTP stuff up is just annoying. I found I didn't realize how much I would dislike that actually now that I've had to do it again. And so what I want to do is, the tricky part is Weaver Space is ran by Total CMS. And Total CMS actually manages data on the server, right? So it's creating files on the server. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Git to ignore the CMS data folder so that the CMS can create, can still update that CMS data folder. But then whenever I need to change my website and pull up new content, basically, I'm going to have the same exact setup, but that CMS data folder will just be in this special file called git ignore, which will tell Git, hey, just ignore this entire directory and everything inside of it. So my total CMS data won't be version controlled, but I think that's okay. I don't think I plan on adding version control into Total CMS, at least not in the near future, because that's a quite huge undertaking, I think. Especially with crazy things like images and all that jazz, because there's going to be a ton of images. So yeah, I don't think that's something that's a viable solution. Now, and then I want to take it to another level, which I thought would be cool, is I'm going to create a development version of Weaver Space, and that will be, let's say, dev.weavers.space. And what that will be is it will be a development branch of my website, so I can kind of do some tests and changes, publish that to a development branch, and then pull that down to a different web server, which is dev.weavers.space. And once I'm happy with all those changes that I've done, then I can commit it to the master branch, which would then publish to the main website. So
far so good.
Yeah.
What did you have? Do you have a question somewhere in there?
No, it was more just I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about, and obviously it sounds common sense to you, so I like it. I guess I'm on the right track.
Okay, yeah.
Any tips? The average, or let's say the average power user now is intrigued. What did I skip over, or what other tips could you give them if they wanted to start to potentially test and play around with something like this?
The first workflow sounded okay. I know from experience from running Chili hosting, users do have SSH access to their accounts, and Git is available. Now, the caveats of why you write a file to your hosting, and then you have a cron shell script that checks that and does the checkouts and does that pull. So that kind of workflow is typically, and for very good reason, you can't call shell scripts directly from PHP.
Yeah. It's a security risk. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why Joe does that. And that would actually work just fine on Chili Dog for those people who are, maybe the two people who are listening. So what Joe describes is a good amount of work. It's not something you're going to find out of the box. So, expect to, learn what cron jobs are, what shell scripts are, how to write a shell script that checks if a file, how to, execute a shell script from a cron job, and how to write a shell script that checks if this file exists and runs Git, and how to deal with file paths and binary paths when you're running in a cron job, because a cron job is different than a shell script.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Joe knows. So how I would get started though is I would just practice with Git. I would export my site locally. I would use Git, either a GUI or command line, and I would publish directly to my hosting space or website using Git directly. I wouldn't use a third-party service. I wouldn't use GitHub or GitLab or whatever to do the auto deployments. I would just get familiar with Git and publish directly to the site. Okay.
So you create a Git server on your web server to push up to.
Yeah. Okay. So Chili Dog has the entire Git server, just the Git binary, right? It's just over SSH.
True.
So, I would just push and pull to your website and get familiar with that. Or if you don't want to do it with your website, do it with a subdomain. If you want to don't want to do it with your subdomain, then use GitHub or something like that, and just push and pull to a private repo and learn how Git works.
Mm-hmm. Start small, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
Good advice.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Sweet. Well, I think we've geeked out sufficiently.
I think so. I think my only other comment is a dorky comment anyway.
Yes. Get your pocket protectors. If that's step one, right?
Okay,
get your pocket
ready?
protector,
Ready?
just like the one Greg has right now. I could see it.
Yeah, you can see it coming. You can feel it coming. All right. It's I used to write C, and the thing was C gives you enough freedom to hang yourself.
Yeah.
Git gives you enough freedom to hang yourself, so you have full control to screw up your entire project file.
Yes.
Just gonna say it.
Cool. Well, Greg, let's wrap this up. Where can everybody find you?
Awesome. Chili Dog Software and chilidogHosting.com, and at Barshard on Twitter.
Sweet. I am at Joe Workman everywhere. You can also make sure if you want any feedback on the show, or if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at feedback@weaverradio.com. Obviously, you could check out all of our show archives on weaverradio.com, or, hit us up on iTunes and leave us a review. That would always be great. I haven't even checked recently if we got any reviews. We should do that.
Sure.
And yeah, sweet. Take care, Greg. And we'll talk to everybody next week. Cheers.
Cheers.